Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World War One, a new game out by Fury Software and published by Matrix and Slytherin Games. This is a turn-based World War One strategy and war game. We are in episode number 19 of this series, playing as the Central Powers, and we are in the process of shifting our navy to the east, deep into the Baltic, in order to try and engage and destroy the Russian fleet, while we're also continuing to overrun Russian forces throughout the Eastern Front. Meanwhile, on the Western Front, the Allies have invaded Belgium and the Low Countries and are trying to outflank our main position there, but we've largely stabilized our line and are now working on sort of shoring things up and preparing to counterattack. I think we may prepare for a counterattack as soon as the Russians fall, which is really what we're hoping to accomplish in the next few turns on the Eastern Front anyway. With that being said, this was taken from a live stream from a couple of days ago, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way and turn it back over to my live stream myself. Attack those Ottoman troops. So they're going to fall back to Gaza. I should have pulled them back. Damn it. Might as well upgrade the troops we have. Actually, there's multiple places they could rise up, though we don't have troops. The British have brought a corps into Kuwait. That's concerning. All right, let's operate these guys south to deal with the revolt. We're going to drive these guys south. We're going to need more detachments for the Ottoman Empire, too. Okay, we'll reinforce these guys. Are these fortifications new? By the way, were they always forts here, or is that like a new level of fortification? Do the Russians develop like level 20 forts? Because that seems new. Okay, so the Russian battle cruiser is at Odessa. Interesting. All of their dug-in troops seem to now have forts. Meanwhile, it's snowing. Wait, the British are deploying troops to Russia? That's great. Just what we need. A ton of British troops showing up in Russia. Meanwhile, there was a Russian cruiser around here somewhere. He's over there. Alright, let's see if we can destroy these guys. I do not want to move through a minefield. I do not want green eggs and ham. Great. I don't want to push them back. I want to destroy them. There we go. 450 national morale bonus for the enemy's destruction. Meanwhile, our own warships are closing in on Petrograd. Enemy pre-dreadnought battleship up this way. I just sailed through a minefield. Nope, not that time. But I cleared the minefield the old-fashioned way. Alright, so the Russian fleet is bottled up. Don't know why their pre-dreadnought has ASW technology. I mean, I'll take casualties here. I'm not averse to that. I just want to destroy it. Nice! 700 national morale bonus. Damage evaded. So the Russian fleet is bottled up in Petrograd. They have, it looks like a battle cruiser or armored cruiser and a dreadnought. I'm assuming that's ASW tech. Okay. So the Russian national morale is down to 13%. Alright, we're going to attack this enemy artillery. Swap there. Nice. We've retaken Antwerp. Huzzah! Antwerp has fallen to the Central Powers. We've retaken Antwerp. Hell yeah. I mean, there's this whole gap in the enemy front line right here. Why do my crappier troops have a better time attacking enemy entrenchments? I don't quite understand that. Nice. So we broke through these troops. These guys haven't attacked yet, but they're only level 6, which is a little bit concerning. I don't really want to advance weak troops into that spot on the field. So we'll advance these fresh troops here. Go after the British headquarters. Upgrade these guys. Nice. So we've almost destroyed this British headquarter. Meanwhile, this French unit advanced. into a bad place. These guys will reinforce. I think we're going to send these guys in here. I'm tad worried we're a little bit overextended here on the European front, but it feels like the enemy's running really dry on troops, and I don't know if that means they pulled them out to other sectors, because the British have 38 infantry. That's a lot. The Russians now have 41, by the way. They're regaining their strength. I don't know where they're at, but they are regaining some of their strength. Okay. Reinforce these Dutch troops in the north. I mean, ideally, yes, I want to keep the front line short. Okay. But I have extended a little bit. If I could take all of Belgium back, that would be great. I'm hoping the fall of Amsterdam hurts their morale. But we'll see. Or sorry, Antwerp, not Amsterdam. My bad. Okay. Advancing on Petrograd, sort of. Alright, can we do more damage to these guys? Alright, so these guys are cutting off supply to that base. Meanwhile, in the south, I think the only thing we can really advance on is Odessa down there. I'm also curious if there's enemy troops here. Odessa is open. Okay, so Odessa's open. We just damaged that enemy. Ship there. We're going to cut off Athens with that advance. Reinforce here. Alright, so we're continuing to advance in Greece. Hopefully we can take Kalamata next turn. No. There's Italian subs up there. They're trying to limit supply, I guess, to Trieste, I would guess. They didn't even pull the air unit back. Reinforcements for everyone. Alright, let's swap those guys out. I don't know why they're not doing anything as we advance to the west here. That's interesting. Okay. Alright, we'll advance south here. Alright, so next turn we're going to try and knock out this base here. Supply situation all around is pretty bad in Russia. But these air units... Oh, shoot. Okay. Should help. Alright, so... Mogilvy, or however you pronounce that, is going to be attacked. I mean, at this point, I think it's mostly just about destroying Russian units. I mean, because supply is so bad. The advance further west. It looks like supply is actually a lot better here, though, now that we move these headquarters in the way that we have. It's just pretty narrow, right? Like, the troops further north don't have good supply. But it's really more just about destroying enemy units. That lowers their morale, lowers their effectiveness. Their morale's down to 13%. Can we reinforce these guys? No. I'd love to drive on Moscow. I just don't know how practical that is. Okay. Actually, it's not that I don't know how practical it is. I know it's not practical. Alright, so we need to destroy these two units, hopefully next turn. We're almost to spring, though, so that's good for us. Spend some points on ship upgrades. we also upgrade these Dutch subs here that have been sitting in port? I mean, we really could go for the throat of some of the enemy units. Meanwhile, the Danes, the Finns, the Norwegians, they're all strongly swaying toward the Axis. Sweden as well. Germany has 2 more chits. We can go ahead and continue to invest in diplomacy with Romania. I don't think they'll ever join us, but at least keeping them out of the war. Meanwhile, in terms of research, we're not really building units, which is probably not good. We're investing in tank development. We're investing in fighter development. Naval weaponry we should probably invest in is Germany. The Austrians really need to spend more money on infantry weapons and infantry warfare to get their doctrine up, which makes them better fighters. So I think that's going to do it for this turn. We do still have a couple of things left to do. I mean, I can't deal with the rebels down here yet. Trying to get troops south to do that. Meanwhile, we're advancing into Egypt from the west with these rebel troops moving through the Halfa Pass toward Alexandria and El Alamein. I'm assuming these areas aren't empty, but it may cause the British to pull some troops away. Okay. All right. So I think that does it for this turn. Let's move into February of 1916. See how things go. Central Powers liberate Belgium. And there is much rejoicing throughout the land. Greek forces mobilized to do something. Meanwhile, another Arab revolt at Hale. Romania is swinging toward the Central Powers, slowly. One of our destroyers is hurt by rough seas. Infantry warfare level 3 for Germany. That's good. Should help our land combat results. Am I going to do a game as the Entente? I don't know. I do have new units. You're right. I keep forgetting about that. The British are introducing conscription. The 2nd Anzac Corps set sail. So they're getting desperate, I guess. Meanwhile, their destroyers leave port. Probably not the best idea. Although they didn't lose that much. How did they sail right through a battleship of ours? That seems silly. We just lost a destroyer. National morale bonus to the Russians. Meanwhile, they're pulling some of their troops back. Looks like some counterattacks south of Brussels. We need springtime. All right, bunch of reinforcements. More enemy armies rising up in Arabia. Great. Just great. Oh, by the way, Whisperio. I don't know if I thanked you for the follow, but thank you for the follow. Hey, they're forced to be stuck there, so now we can sink a Russian cruiser, probably with ease. That's going to be exciting. I really want to figure out a way to lure the Russian battle fleet out of Petrograd so I can destroy it. That would probably crush their national morale. Although an armored cruiser should be a pretty big hurt, too. Or if I can figure out a way to finish off that battleship in Odessa. Probably could do it if we take the city. Meanwhile, large number of artillery barrages here to the southwest of Metz. Usually that what do you call it? Predates, presupposes, is a precursor to a major enemy offensive. The Italians sure haven't lost any of their vigor. They're attacking at every goddamn thing they can. Surprised the British have sent units into Russia, but they haven't sent any units into Greece. Not that I want them to. Please don't. Proceeds. That's the word I was thinking of. Thank you. The British have now developed a more advanced trench warfare, I'm assuming, because now they have fortifications everywhere with barbed wire up like that. We need to do better on trenches. Enemy subs. I don't have destroyers really there to sink them. Austro-Hungarian saboteurs strike at Italian ports. Nice. British soldiers serving at Ypres start producing the Wiper Times. No Conscription Fellowship proclaims its opposition to conscription. German socialists opposed to the war form Spartacus League. No! No Germans opposed to the war. Germany is winning. You must stay in support. We lost a U-boat. The armored cruiser. Langer Max railgun. Okay. Alright, let's actually deploy these Austrian troops. Before I forget, I guess we'll deploy them here. At Klagenfurt. How far can this guy fire anyway? Not very. Stupid winter. I don't even have artillery far enough forward to attack anything. But these French are actually not very well dug in. Nice. Okay, so we destroyed that French corps, and we drove west. Another hex. The British at Brussels are very vulnerable, and so we can actually finish them off too. So we advance into Brussels. Yeah, the snow animation can be a little bit annoying. It can be kind of hard to figure out like what's actually happening. Okay, so we'll entrench those troops on the front lines. We've kind of broken through. Verdun is the real thorn on our side, I guess. Okay, so we're advancing between Epnel and Belfort for the first time. Reinforce these troops. Verdun, meanwhile, is heavily dug in. Let's operate these German guns south. I can't even do reconnaissance. That detachment is going to get killed. Which is actually fine. I'm 100% okay with it. Not that I want to take casualties, but mainly the goal there was to act as a little bit of a barrier between an enemy counterattack. Meanwhile, I'm going to bring artillery around Verdun so we can pound it into oblivion. Its entrenchment level is 10. Dear God. Move these troops back, move these forward. Okay, so we're ready to begin the assault on Verdun. Assuming the enemy doesn't drive our counterattack back this way, now that we've retaken Brussels as well. We've got a surplus of troops in the west. I mean, I know it's probably not wise to launch offensives in both the west and the east at the same time. But it's kind of what we have to do at this point. Can I move this anywhere? No, they have no action points. I'd love to bring them south to help work on Verdun. Upgrade these guys. The only reason, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I want to attack Verdun, but the reason I'm planning on attacking Verdun is simply this. Between the forts north here near Lille and Verdun, we can't advance. This is basically a hinge on their line. We can attack the other forts successfully. We can. Verdun is like a four-sided fort. It's considered a major fortress, and we really do need to reduce it if we're going to drive on Paris. Our advance will be down too narrow a front, or it will take too wide an angle. If we advance in the north, it presupposes a much larger front line, I believe. We're also going to bring our fighters up here to provide aerial recon. This is really like us organizing our first traditional Western Front style offensive. We're bringing in a lot of artillery. We're bringing in air units to provide spotting. This is going to be all in tune for a Verdun attack in the spring. Almost in line with history, except that the rest of the front's going a little bit better. Although I guess now we're at about almost close to where the historical front line was. In terms of units, the British are stronger yet, 40, but the French are down to 22. The Italian front, I mean, they've developed these forts, but like they're not, I guess they're just not dug in as much as you would think. Couldn't quite finish off that enemy detachment there. That's a little bit of bold advance here toward Milan. I'm hoping to pull enemy troops back. Upgrade these guys. Meanwhile, Undine looks like a place we might be able to successfully successfully attack. That'll give the Italians a bit of a blow to their national morale. We'll build out that Austro-Hungarian ship, so now we have 2 dreadnoughts for them. Meanwhile, on the Russian front, we've got 7 artillery shells here at Venetsta, so we're going to go ahead and pound these Russian troops. The morale is already down to 20, but we're going to hurt their morale and readiness even more. It's under 20 morale now, at 30 readiness. We're doing some damage here as well. Their entrenchments are down to 0. We spent a shit ton of artillery here. Nice! 1 to 5. Eat it. There they go. And we took the city. No partisans to worry about in the south. We'll still have decent supply as we drive toward Odessa. Meanwhile, further north, we've got another Russian garrison unit here. Took some casualties, but we did ultimately destroy it and overrun it. So we're advancing south here. So 2 more Russian units destroyed. Russian national morale is down to 10%. Meanwhile, there is a Russian heavy cruiser that's exposed out in the middle of nowhere. Our ships will damage it. Our subs will finish it off, and that's a 500 national morale bonus. The Moltke battle cruiser played a role in that. Russian national morale down to 5%. Ah, there's an enemy light cruiser over here. Just chilling in the open. Yes, please. I want to eat you up. Gotcha! 450 national morale bonus. German Navy cleaning up. 8% Russian morale. I don't know how many more naval units the Russians have, by the way. Apparently they have 4. One's in the Baltic. Actually, 2 are in the Baltic. So they've got 2 here, this destroyer and this sub. Okay. German national morale, by the way, is 100%. Austria-Hungary is at 125%. Meanwhile, this fort over here is finally low on supply due to our naval blockade. And we overran it, finally, after 2 years of siege. This fortress at Lebu has fallen. Meanwhile, Poltavsk is surrounded. I would like to reduce it to nothing. If I can, I don't think I'll be able to this turn. Alright. Moldavy's a Russian Army Corps. Shattered. We got another Russian unit. Russian Army Corps shattered there. We'll continue to hold Smolensk there. The Russians had gotten their army back up to 40. They're back down to 38. I don't know if I want to take those casualties, but I will. Alright, so we couldn't quite overrun the fortress at Babrusk. But nonetheless, we've broken through. There's presumably something at Uman, maybe. But if not, then we'll be heading for Odessa. That national morale loss might break him. I don't want to... We've only got a 10% chance of hurting them in port, so I'm not going to do that. Meanwhile, on the Greek front, we've got this Greek core. Isolated. Couldn't quite finish it off. Nearly. Okay. Meanwhile, on the Ottoman front, this cavalry corps is hopefully doomed. It is. We got it. A loss of another infantry unit there for the Russians. Okay, I'm going to... These guys aren't on a rail line, are they? No, they're not. All right, I'm going to ride my cavalry south. I'm kind of thinking the Russian front is somewhat secure. So I'm actually going to get my cavalry into the Middle East because we need it to help break apart the partisan raids. Pull these troops back, put these German troops in. Meanwhile, we're going to reinforce where we can. On the front line. New troops are arriving. Austrian troops. What's the supply situation down here? Pretty damn bad. Gambit, thanks for the follow. I need a headquarter unit at Medina. They also revolted at Halil. Or Hale, however you pronounce that. So there can't be any rebellion here or here. They could raise another unit here or at Halil. I think those are the only spots. Meanwhile, they're advancing in Iraq as well. Gonna pull back to Amara, and I'm gonna go ahead and dig in and entrench there. Can't afford to lose Baghdad. I mean, part of me says, like, pull troops out of Gallipoli or Smyrna. They're both national morale objectives. My fear is if I do that, the enemy will instantly pounce. But I need more troops in the Middle East. I could potentially send one of my newly raised units in the Italian front, I think. If we did operate, could we get there? We do have a rail line through that way. We get those to the south. We can't get them to Baghdad. We can get them to Damascus. Apparently we don't have the Berlin to Baghdad railway. We are moving these 2 cavalry units south, so they could potentially get there. But yeah, the problem is we don't have adequate reinforcements anywhere near Baghdad, or the ability to get them there. What we probably should do for the Ottomans is raise more troops. Raise a Baghdad garrison that won't hold out super long. We'll also raise a Mosul garrison. Oh, I can't do that. Okay. All right. So Germany's morale is up to 100% still, not up to, it's just at. Now I need to be careful in the west here because I don't want to get my ships sunk by enemy subs just to be here. Couldn't finish him off even with that cavalry. I mean, I'm hoping I don't have to take Moscow. That'd just be a pain in the ass. They're at 8%. I think that's going to do it for this turn, though. Germany needs tanks, but they can't. They haven't researched that yet. Can Belgium raise troops? All right, we're raising Belgian troops now that Belgium has been liberated. All right. Let's go ahead and proceed into March. All right, everybody. This episode was a little bit on the longer end, a little bit over 45 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up right before we hit the... Well, actually, we just hit the end turn button. But before we see the end turn results, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. Our next episode will probably look at the assault on Verdun, as well as continuing the assaults on Russia. So with that being said, let's go ahead and sign off here. Hope you guys are enjoying. As always, leave your thoughts below. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you again for watching. And until next time, I'm out.